everybody. I'm so happy to see you again. I miss you guys so much. And we're starting to do more and more things at the library because I don't know when we're going to get to open again, but I just feel like it might be closer every day. I really do. Maybe I'm just being optimistic. Do you know what optimistic means? It means when you just think that good things are coming. And I feel optimistic that someday soon we'll get to be back together again. There's lots of things going on at the library, like I say. We have a new thing. It's called book bundles. One of the things a lot of people miss about not being able to go in the library is you can't just go in and find brand new books to read that you've never seen before. But every day now, if you go to the library, to the front door, you may not be able to go inside, but if you ask them, you can say, "Can I have a book bundle?" They will have a bag of books that maybe you've never even seen, and they'll let you have it, and you'll get to take it home and be surprised. Every day we've got new things that the books will be about. Maybe one day there'll be books about flowers. Maybe there'll be books about dogs. If you look on Facebook or if you look on our website, you'll get to see what they're about each day. And even big kids and grown-ups can get book bundles. There's books for middle grades, there's books for teenagers, and there's books for adults. So everybody can get a book bundle to enjoy. That's really new, and I'm excited about it. I get to pick out some of the books, so I hope you like the books that I pick out. We've got some good stories today and some songs, and I think we should go ahead and get started. What do you say? Clap your hands if you love stories. Clap your hands, I know you do. I'm so glad that we could be together. Glad to share a story time with you. This story comes from a country called Kenya. It's in the eastern part of Africa. And it is about a mama ostrich and a mama lion. Do you know what an ostrich is? An ostrich is a big, tall bird with a long neck. And in this story, Mama Ostrich had 2 babies, and she loved her babies very much, as all mamas do. They were her pride and joy, and every day she took very good care of her babies. Well, one day, she was out looking for some food to feed her chicks, but when she came back to the nest, they weren't there. And she was so surprised and startled because they shouldn't have been anywhere but in the nest. And she looked high and low. Can you imagine what your mommy would do if she went to the store and when she came back, your babysitter was watching you maybe, or your daddy or grandma, but you were playing hide and seek and mommy didn't know where to find you? Well, Mama Ostrich got more and more upset the longer she looked, and she couldn't find her babies. And she looked in the dirt and she didn't see any baby ostrich footprints. But she did see some footprints. They were big paws. And she followed them further and further from her nest until finally she came to Mama Lion's den. And when she looked inside Mama Lion's den, there was Mama Lion. And in Mama Lion's arms were her 2 baby ostrich chicks. She was cuddling them. And Mama Ostrich was so unhappy and startled that she burst in and said, "What are you doing with my babies?" And Mama Lion said, "What are you doing in here? These are obviously not your babies. These are obviously my lion cubs." Do you think that a lion cub and a baby ostrich look anything alike? They don't. And Mama Ostrich said, "That's not obvious at all. Those are chicks. Those are ostriches, not baby lions." And Mama Lion said, "Is that so? Well, then you won't have any trouble finding someone else to support what you're saying. I dare you to find one other animal in this whole jungle who will stand up to me and say that these are not lion cubs, that will look me in the eye and tell me that you are right and I'm wrong. If you do that, then I'll give you these babies." And Mama Lion let out a big roar. Roar. Well, Mama Ostrich got up as quickly as she could and ran to all of the other animals in the jungle, telling them what happened and begging them to come to Mama Lion's den and tell her that those babies were baby ostriches and not cubs. And everyone looked at her, not sure at all what they should do, until she finally got to Mongoose. Do you know what a mongoose is? Kind of like maybe a weasel, a little bit. Long and skinny. And Mongoose had an idea about what was going to happen, but he didn't want to say anything just yet. He said, I will do this, but first, I want you to dig a hole in this anthill right here, down into the ground. And then I want you to make another hole in the ground that leads to this other anthill that's closer to the lion's den. Can you do that? Ostriches are pretty good at putting their heads down close to the ground, and some people say that ostriches bury their heads in the ground. And for the sake of this story, we'll say that that's what they did. And so Mama Ostrich stuck her head down in that ground and dug a hole. Well, the next day, everybody showed up at Mama Lion's den, and Mama Lion roared her roar and said, someone tell me, are these babies lions or are they ostriches? And one by one, every animal shuffled their feet and looked away and said, of course they're lions, because they were too afraid of Mama Lion to tell her the truth. Until finally, the lion looked at Mongoose and said, what do you have to say? And Mongoose said, it's easy. Those are obviously baby ostrich chicks. And before anyone could react, the mongoose slithered down into that tiny hole in the anthill. Mama Lion roared really loudly and put the ostrich chicks on the ground and jumped after the mongoose. But a lion can't fit into a tiny little hole like a mongoose can. And Mama Lion circled around that hole, just waiting for that mongoose to come back up. In the meantime, the baby ostriches ran quickly over to their mama, who took them in her wings and quickly carried them away. And Mama Lion didn't know that the mongoose had slithered his way all under the ground till he came up to the other anthill, popped up back out of that hole, and was safely gone. It was a very long time before Mama Lion finally stood up from that anthill, sighed, and went back into her den. Let me ask you this. Do you think that Mama Lion really thought that those ostriches were her babies? Or do you think maybe she was telling a story? All right, let me see your hands. We're going to do a finger play now with our hands. We're going to start by putting them on our head. You ready? On my head, my hands I place. On my shoulders. On my face. On my hips. And at my sides. Then behind me they will hide. Put them behind your back. I will hold them up so high. Can you make your hands go up high? Quickly make my fingers fly. Hold them out in front of me. Swiftly clap them. 1, 2, 3. I'll do that one more time. You ready? On my head, my hands I place. On my shoulders, on my face, on my hips, and at my side. Then behind me they will hide. I will hold them up so high. Quickly make my fingers fly. Hold them out in front of me. Swiftly clap them. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to tell you the story of a dragon. This is the story of the flower dragon, and it comes from a country called China, really big country on the other side of the world. A long time ago in China, there was a poor woman who lived with her only child, a daughter named Pear Blossom. And life was pretty hard for them. They didn't have a lot of money or a lot of anything else. And one day the woman said to her daughter, "My child, I'm afraid we're lost. We don't have any more food, and we don't have any more money to buy more food. I don't know what we'll do. Pear Blossom said, "Don't be afraid, Mother. I shall go into the city where your brother lives. Uncle Ming has a lot of money, and he won't let anything happen to us." But the mother said, "Oh no, my child. It's a long travel to the city. There's danger between here and there. You could be hurt or lost." But Pear Blossom said, "I will be quick and I will be careful, Mother. Don't worry about me." And off she went. It was a really long trip to the city. She walked for hours and hours, and soon she came upon the most beautiful garden outside a gorgeous, huge house. And in the garden, she saw 3 young ladies playing. And suddenly one of them said, "Oh, look, a butterfly. Let's catch it and keep it in a jar." Well, Pear Blossom rushed into the garden, and she caught the butterfly in her hands. And the girls said, "Give that back to us. That's ours." Pear Blossom said, "No, the butterfly must be free." And she lifted her hands up outside of the garden and waved the butterfly into the air so it would fly away. Oh, the girls were very upset. They said, "Get out of here, you beggar." Well, Pear Blossom said, "I'm not a beggar. I'm on my way into the city to visit my uncle." And the girls laughed and said, "You'll never make it to the city. Between here and there is a cave where a dragon lives. A golden dragon who's huge and who eats anyone who tries to go past." Well, Pear Blossom was afraid, but she didn't know whether the girls were telling her the truth or a lie just to scare her, and she didn't know what to do. But while she was thinking, the butterfly came flying back down, floated gently onto the grass in front of her, and turned into a fairy. And the butterfly fairy said, "Thank you for saving my life. Because you saved my life, I'm going to save yours. You see, that dragon is actually a flower dragon. And that's what he loves most in the world, beautiful, fresh flowers." And she gave Pear Blossom a bouquet of flowers and said, "If you take him these flowers, you must ask for his kindness, and he will let you pass." And so Pear Blossom thanked the butterfly fairy, and she kept walking. And soon she came to a big cave, and sitting out front of that cave was a massive golden dragon with smoke curling from his nose. And he saw her coming and said, "Who is coming near my cave?" And Pear Blossom said, "Oh, dragon, sir, I brought you some flowers." And she put them onto the ground in front of him and said, "You are very fierce, dragon. But you must promise me that you will be more kind from now on. And if you are kind, flowers will grow for you." And the dragon sniffed at the flowers. And they were beautiful flowers. They were magical flowers because the fairy gave them to her. And so he said, "Because you came here and were kind to me, I promise I will be kind too." He said, "Wait here." And he went into his cave, and when he came out, he had 3 golden necklaces that he gave to her because she was the only one who had come to him with a gift. And she thanked him for the necklaces, and she made her way on into the city. But as it turned out, Uncle Ming was not nearly as helpful as she had hoped he would be. He wouldn't even let her in the front door of his house. And when she asked him for help, for money or food, he said, "Do I look like I'm made of money?" Pear Blossom said, "But Uncle, I came such a long way. I had to go past the dragon outside of the city. Look, he gave me these necklaces because I gave him flowers." Well, her uncle was a greedy man. And he grabbed some flowers from in front of his house because he wanted golden necklaces. And he ran to the dragon's cave and he said, Here, I have flowers too. Now give me some gold." But they weren't very nice flowers. They were just scraggly little things that had grown in front of his house. And the dragon was so offended that he snorted smoke out of his nose and he almost burned Uncle Ming. But Uncle Ming quickly ran away. In the meantime, the people who'd been watching Uncle Ming shout at Pear Blossom in front of his house were whispering the story of what had happened. And the story made it to the Empress, who came out into her palace garden and called for Pear Blossom to be brought to her. And Pear Blossom came and said, "Your Majesty, you may have these necklaces. I have no need of golden necklaces. My mother and I cannot eat them." The Empress was enchanted by Pear Blossom, and she had Pear Blossom and her mother brought into the palace to live with her, where they didn't need to worry about anything for the rest of their lives. And the dragon? He stopped eating people because every day Pear Blossom would go out to the cave to visit him. And soon the dragon had managed to make beautiful flowers grow all around the outside of his cave, and he was so happy. The only time he wasn't happy was when Uncle Ming would try to leave his house, and the dragon would snort, smoke, and he would scare Uncle Ming right back inside again. All right, it's starting to get to be spring, isn't it? I know that where we live in Wisconsin, sometimes it's hard to tell when it's spring, because even if the calendar says it is, it can be pretty cold, and sometimes it can even snow in April and sometimes even in May. I know, but it feels like it might be spring on some days, and if we cross our fingers and wish really hard, maybe we'll start getting some more warm days. But have you ever heard the phrase, April showers, spring May flowers? Well, it's almost April, and that means that we're going to start having showers, some more rain. Do you have rain boots for playing in the rain? Let's pretend that we're all putting on our rain boots. And wherever you are, if it's in your living room or wherever, we're going to pretend that we're outside in the rain. And what do we do when we have our rain boots on in the rain? We splash in the puddles, right? So I want you to pretend that you're splashing in the puddles while we sing. Here we go. Splashing in the puddles, splashing in the puddles, splashing in the puddles, but don't let mommy see. Let's do it one more time. Splashing in the puddles, splashing in the puddles, splashing in the puddles, but don't let mommy see. Now put up your umbrella. Can you pretend to put up an umbrella? Walking through the raindrops, walking through the raindrops, walking through the raindrops, let's hope we don't get wet. Now we're stomping the gutters, okay? Stomping in the gutters, stomping in the gutters, stomping in the gutters, let's make it splash so high. Water splashing all over us, isn't it? Marching in our rain boots, marching in our rain boots, marching in our rain boots, let's make a clomping sound. Clomp, 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 clomp. Pretty good at this. Now we go again. Splashing in the puddles, splashing in the puddles, splashing in the puddles, we make a splashing sound. Splashing in the puddles, splashing in the puddles, splashing in the puddles, let's splash back home again. And dry off. I hope you liked our stories today. I hope that if you have any dragons in your life, whether they're real dragons or just make-believe dragons, that you'll remember that there's always something you can do to be kind that maybe will help you get to the other side, safe and sound. I can't wait to see you again next week. I'm already missing you. So, for now, let me see everybody out there reach for the ceiling and touch the floor. Stand up again. Let's do some more. Touch your head. And now your knees. Up to your shoulders. Like this, you see. Reach for the ceiling. And touch the floor. That's all there is this week. There isn't any more. But I'll see you again later. Bye-bye.